areas of interest to us here in Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management. So why don't you come and join us? So that is where I joined IIT-TMS. 2007, almost changed my religion and converted to tourism from management. And here I am before you as a colleague in the stream of tourism business. Let me begin with a quote, and it goes like this, that behind every successful tourism entrepreneur, there are many unsuccessful years and countless sleep nights. And when I say so, I have a few assumptions. And one of the assumptions is that all of you have a keen interest in entrepreneurship. There has been a lot of talk about entrepreneurship. There's been a lot of talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, a lot of talk about skill development. There's a lot of discussion on entrepreneurship in almost every sector. And therefore, I've been assigned this duty of talking to you about some history of entrepreneurship, but I decided that I'll bring in a different perspective to this whole discussion. And I believe that should be my contribution to this faculty development program. Because it's not only about your interest in entrepreneurship, it's also about your interest in pursuing your students to pursue entrepreneurship, to be more entrepreneurial in their approach and entrepreneurial in their career. And this is precisely where we are facing, some challenges. So the agenda that I have for you today, I have around almost an hour to talk to you. So what I plan to do is talk to you about a few things. I'll start with a small discussion on history of politics of economics and the goal of good governance. I'll share with you a few anecdotes. In fact, something that I learned in Mizoram, and maybe some stories. Being a teacher of tourism, you tend to be a storyteller, so I'll bring a lot of stories for you. Why tourism entrepreneurship is important for us, why governments are very, very interested in it. I'll share with you my point of view of tourism, what I understand tourism is all about, how do I look at tourism. And then towards the end of my discussion, what I'm trying to do is bring for you a lot of examples of tourism entrepreneurs, and then try to do a small analysis, like what these entrepreneurs are doing, how are they approaching this whole business of business. And that is what I thought I'll share with you. So let me start over there. I'm not a historian, let us be very clear. So I'm not making any tall claims, but I have my own way of looking at, selectively looking at history. And one of those selective perceptions that I hold is one of those perspectives that I would like to bring to you is, let us look at the history of the world over last 400-500 years. Ever since the Renaissance in Europe, followed by Industrial Revolution. And if you want, you can go a bit, beyond that also. What we have realized in the as a evolving community, as a society, I'm talking about the entire world, is that, I mean, especially the people who have been governing us, the leaders, whether they were kings or feudal chiefs or governments or this or that, whatever form they took, everyone realized that benefit of the society, good of the community has to be a superordinate goal. If even if someone has a selfish interest and someone wants to be a ruler or the king or the governor or the head of the state, they need to understand one thing, that their people must be happy, their people must be by and large satisfied. When they address the aspiration of their people, that is the only reason why they're going to be sustainably successful in leading their own communities, countries, regions, whatever it is. So what I'm bringing to table is that different leadership over last 400 years, 500 years, even before that, have tried to, create a social good, a public good, that let us do something good for the people. Let us do something good for the community. People are satisfied, we get some kind of a support to be in power, to lead the countries, to rule the people, whatever they thought. Why I'm saying this is, why I pegged Renaissance was that this is the time when economics became important for the world. Businesses became important for the world because it was the start of the industrial era. And therefore, on a more philosophical front, the world got divided into two schools of thought, and you all understand those schools of thought. One was a more socialistic approach, where they said that whatever wealth we have in this room, let us divide this wealth equally among all of us, right? Remember this. And once all of us are by and large equal and we're divided and wealth belongs to everyone, it's a shared wealth, let us start working forward to increase the wealth in this room. Okay? And then there was another school of thought. They said, let us first increase the wealth in this room and then we'll try to distribute. And in fact, this distribution would not be an equitable distribution. Those who work harder, those who work smarter will actually make more money. And but what is certain, what is sure is that everyone in this room is going to get some money and everyone in this room is going to be benefited, because overall the amount of wealth that is there in this room is going to increase. This was the capitalist school of or the free economy school of thinking. For last 200, 300 years, we have been, experimenting with these models. Last one and a century almost, we have been experimenting with different variants of these two schools. But let us understand, all of us are tourism students or scholars of tourism or from the allied fields. And therefore, we understand that one of the superordinate goals of a contemporary society is growth. Every society, every country is wants to grow. There's a competition between the countries, there's competition between the states, there's a competition between different regions within the state, bigger regions, pan-national regions. We are all competing for growth because we believe that when we grow, wealth is created and then that wealth gets distributed among the society and it benefits everyone. But then this debate, which was there a couple of 100 years back, is still there. What do we do? How do we look at this wealth? How do we handle this wealth? Do we distribute this wealth equitably first and then grow? Or first we grow and then we try to distribute this wealth? And I'm not favoring or supporting, not putting my support behind any of these, but what we have observed globally last 50, 60 years especially, that socialist model somehow has taken a backseat. So the world is all about growth. World is all about economic growth, which is correlated to the well-being of the people. But then there are a good number of people and there are a good number of reasons why people should be dissatisfied with it. I often get to read. I'll take these questions at the toward the end. I'll give you some time, so please keep your questions for a later time. Let me first put this all these stories before you. Someone was asking a question, that is why I responded to that. That broke my momentum. Anyway, so we were talking about this school, and I said I read and I believe, and many people believe, and many people have reasons that there has to be an equitable growth also. There is a school of thought which you must have also come across, which says that most of the socio-economic problems that the world faces has an economic link, right? I'll give you a quick example. For example, there are a lot of people who believe that this Maoism in India, or some form of terrorism around the world, all have an economic basis to it. And one of the believers of this school was our previous Prime Minister, who is a leading economist, Manmohan Singh ji. For most of the problems that the country then faced, he was a man of few words, but he would say that give them an economic package, and which actually worked. A lot of unrest in northeastern states, and he brought in a lot of economic packages for northeastern state and was pretty successful in handling those crises. For a time, even in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, he said, okay, there's a problem, give them an economic package. So there is a school of people who believe that most of these problems have a source in economic inequity, and economic betterment, economic well-being is going to solve a lot of these problems. But let me bring you back to the challenge. We have to prioritize, or we have to compromise, or we have to strike a balance between these two things. One, growth. Second, equitable distribution of wealth. The challenge that economies faced all these years, all this time, is that if you start focusing on creation of wealth, equitable distribution goes for a toss. If you start focusing on equitable distribution of wealth and resources, as in a lot of socialist countries, economic growth went for a toss. So leadership, that is how I'm looking at it. That is why I try to, do some kind of a history that look at this challenge that the leadership in the world is facing. What should be our priorities? Where do we strike a balance? If you're focusing on creation of wealth, distribution is not good. If you are focusing on distribution, you don't create wealth. So that was the challenge before the world, is a challenge before the world. But the good news is, and that is why I had such a, I came up with this background discussion. The good news is there are two sectors, call them two different sectors, or one of them as a sector and the other one of them as an approach. Tourism perhaps is the only tertiary sector. Why I'm saying tertiary sector? Because the other sector that is important is agriculture. I'm not talking about the importance or the amount of wealth that it creates, because agriculture is a low productivity sector, whereas tertiary sectors of the economy contribute more. So tourism is one of those tertiary sectors, and perhaps the sector where governments of the world realize that it is the only sector where creation of wealth and distribution of wealth go hand in hand. Let me repeat this. Tourism is the only sector where creation of wealth and distribution of wealth goes hand in hand. All of you come from a tourism background and you understand and appreciate this. Tourist walks into a country with money in his pocket, goes all over the place and keeps on distributing money to a taxi driver, to a guide, at a restaurant, at another hotel, at another mode of conveyance, purchases some handicrafts, spend some money, participate. So every time what he does is he keeps on distributing money and he is simply bringing money, putting money in his pocket and getting into a destination. Then there are other ways of bringing in money like foreign direct investment and other things. But understand one thing, very important. Another Prime Minister of India, late Rajiv Gandhi, once lamented. He was like upset and he was not very happy with this fact. And he made a statement. He said, when we send 1 rupee from center to the people in the villages or at the bottom of the pyramid, only 15 paisa out of 1 rupee gets there, which means 85 paisa gets lost in the transit. Subsequently, Manmohan Singh Ji's government and then the present dispensation is actually using technology and other mechanisms to do away with this channel of distribution. But look at tourism. Center doesn't have to do much. Tourism is a localized business. If a tourist comes to Mizoram, he's going to spend money in Mizoram. It's not like a nano being manufactured in Gujarat, somewhere in Gujarat, and distributed all over the country. It's not like other industry, where there is a centralization of economic activity. Tourism by default is very, very decentralized, and please understand, that is the only reason why every government at every level is interested in tourism. A city level government, a state level government, a national government. Okay. Every state in India is today talking about tourism. Every small island, there's a small country with a population less than 100,000 people, and they're still talking about tourism. I know of countries, you know of countries and places in this world who have a population of like 1 million people and they receive 35 million tourists a year. Look at Mauritius, look at Andorra, look at all these places. So tourism is one thing. And then let us look at the other thing. The other thing, and the reason why tourism is able to do this, and it's not only restricted to tourism, the other thing which is very, very important is the concept of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the other thing. Remember the principle of Gram Swaraj by Gandhiji. He was not an economist, but he had a fairly good, idea. He said that every village in India, which is, dispersed all over the place, each of them should be a small engine of economic growth. Gram Swaraj, they must be economically self-sustaining. They create wealth, small village, small wealth creation. So wealth creation in smaller bits is all over the place. Instead of consolidating and centralizing our resources and our engines of economic growth, it is always a better idea to have them distributed. Tourism, 99% of the companies, more than 99% of the companies in tourism, by definition, are small companies or micro enterprises or small enterprises. Bigger companies, which we call them bigger, by definition are only medium-sized enterprises. Hardly any tourism company, maybe a couple of hotel chains can be considered as big industries. Most of them are medium-sized enterprises and are overwhelming, proportion of industries in tourism sector are small That's the nature of tourism. Tourism by nature is enterprising, entrepreneurial. And when Rajdeep was making an introductory note, he said entrepreneurship is about starting a business. I would agree with him only partially, and I'll put in my perspective at a later date. But let me quickly bring in two more perspectives, or at least one perspective, because I should leave some time for to answer your questions also. 2007, I joined Mizoram. I don't know how many Mizo friends are there in this group of 110, but I was just, before my talk, I was asking Pankaj and others, like, how are you feeling in Mizoram? Because Mizoram of 2007 was very different. This beautiful campus was not there. And I came from just the other side of the country, Rajasthan. So from Rajasthan, I came and joined Mizoram, which was like a huge cultural shock for me. And I was like, everything was exciting for me. It was a different world altogether. There were a few businessmen, and I asked them that why is development in Mizoram slow? I'm talking of 2007, please understand. Please don't take it offensive, but because it was what I learned, maybe my perspective is not correct. Maybe some local friends have a different point of view. But what I was told in 2007 was, 2007, there was no railway track in Mizoram. I don't know, probably they have brought in a few kilometers from Silchar or not. Air connectivity was poor. Road connectivity was poor way back in 2007. And I asked them that why is it that it is so poor? And they said that because the local people didn't want to connect with the mainland India. They opposed bringing in of railways. They were opposed to roads being built, roads connecting Mizoram being built. But what was good about 2007 was that there was a huge discussion in Asia about the Great Asian Highway or the Asian Highway System, which is like 1.25 thousand kilometers, big project. And Asian Highway 2, which passes through Delhi also, was actually planned from Singapore to Dubai. So Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, and then it would enter India at More in Manipur, cross India, get into Bangladesh, get back to India in Calcutta, Calcutta to Delhi, then Lahore, Pakistan, goes to Iran and to the Middle East. That was the plan. And when this highway was being planned and discussed in 2007, that was the time I was in Mizoram, and I know of a lot of government officials in Mizoram and a lot of politicians in Mizoram who were busy, pressurizing the central government that a sub-highway of the Asian Highway should pass through Mizoram. So it was a big change of heart, and I asked them that why is this change of heart, and they said that when you have a highway passing through Mizoram, it is a source of economic, it brings a lot of economic prosperity. Along the highway, everyone was predicting that there would be a lot of economic activity along the highway, and so this would benefit Mizoram also. So Mizos were like very keen on it, and I just checked on the internet. There are good highway projects that are now being planned and which are being executed through Mizoram. So, in all, what I'm trying to say a few things. One, tourism is important. Entrepreneurship is important. Tourism is important because it's a huge economic activity. All of you understand that it was before COVID, it was growing at a pace which was like which exceeded the global economic growth rate. Global economic growth rate was 3.2%, and tourism was growing at 3.9%. Almost 10 different estimates, 10 to 12% of global GDP was tourism. Tourism is a big thing, but the other good thing was that it is distributed. It benefits people at the bottom of the pyramid, and that is why tourism is important. Then give me a few minutes to bring in another perspective, just to bring in my point of view about what is tourism. And these days I'm teaching a course on tourist guiding. That is one course that I've been teaching for a long, long time. And I was talking about to my group, to my students, about interpretation. And then during the discussion, we came and I made a statement, and a conscious statement, which I wanted to share with you, that every destination is a narrative recreation. Let me explain this to you. And this is very important. You all understand it. And what I'm trying to say is that destination is not a physical space. It is a physical space, a delineated area. That is how you define a destination. But destination is also a narrative. It's a story. And every tourist who comes to a place views this place from his or her own perspective. And that is what Uri, way back in 80s and 90s, spoke about the tourist gaze. One, it is a basic science. Whenever I open my eyes, rays come into my eyes, they affect my brain, a picture is created. But what is very important is for me is to make sense of what I'm seeing. I try to attach meaning to whatever I'm able to see. And this is called a tourist gaze. So every tourist who arrives at a destination tries to make sense. What is happening? When I came to Mizoram, I had a different perspective. 5 people walk into Mizoram, they'll see perhaps the same things, but they have their own, imaginations rolling. So the n number of tourists, n number of narratives, and n number of interpretations about a place, and that is the richness of tourism. Now add to this another perspective, that their narration or their interpretation is mediated by a lot of intermediaries. Say, for example, the travel agent, the tour operator, the tour guide, and other people. We get to a place and see that place through the eyes of the intermediaries. The story that my guide is telling me, the story that my interpreter is telling me, the stories that I learned in Mizoram while I was walking all over the place, meeting different people telling me different stories, and I created, my own narrative of the place. Each one of us, every place, every time, we create a narrative which is based on mediation by a lot of intermediaries. But why are we discussing it today here in this session? Because as many intermediaries as are there, those are the number of narratives that are created. Those are the number of experiences that are created and presented to the people who are arriving at a destination. So what I'm trying to say is that each individual is spending money in tourism when he travels. Each person as an individual has a right to his or her own experience, which they will form, which they will shape with the help of the people who are, giving these narrations, these interpretations. So actually, it is a mass customization of experiences. People are traveling. Before COVID, people were traveling, and sometime after COVID, people would again travel in large numbers. But each experience is to an extent customized. So I get my own experience. I get to create and co-create my own experience. You are traveling with me. from point A to point B, but you create your own perspective. This is very important. Another point, having said this, the next point that I'm trying to share or make to this group is that tourism is a creative industry. Please understand this. I have, I'm really upset about the way we have been conducting tourism in India. And, some of you are going to be upset with me when I complete my session, because we need to own a part of this blame. Unfortunately, now I'm talking only about India and other developing countries. We are replete with drone and Fabian entrepreneurs. What is a Fabian entrepreneur? He's just the next door grocery store. He sells the same things. You change a name, you create a tourism company, and you sell the same, Golden Triangle in Delhi, Agra, Jaipur, or the Golden Triangle in Orissa, or your standard routes, your standard itineraries. Everything is standardized. It's only the person and the company name that change. You have almost the same kind of itineraries. Just make a content analysis of the brochures of different companies. They are almost 80 to 90%. They are the same. And actually, this makes it difficult for the customer to differentiate between company A and company B, which in turn makes competition difficult for the companies, and is one of the reasons why companies in tourism and even other sectors of the economy are not sustainable. One of the researches that I was going to say is that the average life of small companies around the world is only 24 years. There are a few companies in India which are like 100, 200 years old. There is a club of family-based businesses in Europe. The eligibility to be a member of that club is that your business has to be 300 years old at least. There's a club of family businesses in Europe. And I can ask you a question, but the oldest surviving companies in the world is a construction company which was owned by Koreans in Japan. And this company was set up in 4th century AD. It still survives. It was sold to another, group like 7-8 years back. But in India, this doesn't happen. Even in the world, this doesn't happen. The average life of the companies is very small. So that's the downside of entrepreneurship. We should also share that with our students. So the challenge is that from being drone and Fabian entrepreneurial companies, we need to be creative entrepreneurial companies in tourism if we want to, contribute to economic wealth, if you want to contribute to multitude of experiences for the visitors. Okay, I'll take one question also here. One of you asked me what is the difference between a drone and a Fabian. Drone is Fabian is a routine business which works on small profits, but it keeps on. So it was a family business. My father had owned a business. So I also get into the same business. That is a Fabian business. Drone businesses are businesses who are so, afraid of moving out and trying out new things that they are even making losses. But they still continue to, say, for example, I don't know how many of you are comfortable with this word, the local BD. You understand BD? So BD is a product, people hardly buy BDs these days, but it's still in villages and places because they know only to manufacture BDs, they're continuing manufacturing BDs. So those are drone businesses. Anyway, so these are not creative businesses. what I'm trying to say is that drone and Fabian businesses are not creative businesses. On the other hand, we need creative enterprises in tourism which create unique and creative experiences for the visitors, and that is the only way tourism industry and is going to survive and would continue to contribute to the economy. Okay. I had a few small stories to tell you, but I'll share one of those stories and then quickly, and then move to the tourism stories. And this is a real story, and is the real motivator for me. It's a personal story, why I got into tourism entrepreneurship. Year 2001, I was invited by a university in Mexico to teach marketing or services. And my PhD was on small businesses. So they said, you start teaching some more courses. I was teaching there. And when I completed my course with one of the undergraduate groups, the students came to say thank you. And they gave me a small gift, which was a softwood toy. And the girl who came up to give me this toy uh, said that this is on behalf of the entire group. And then she told me that I, manufactured this toy for you. So this was like a bit non-routine. So I said, good, you did this. How do you do this? She said, I have come from a village to Mexico City, and I stay with my uncle who owns a factory. So as a hobby, I produce these toys, and once I complete my graduation, I would like to set up a company which produces these toys. I don't know what happened. I'm not this inquisitive a person, but then that day I asked her, I said, okay, you're going to start your company, but what happens if you fail? She smiled and she said that if this business doesn't work, I'll start another business. But I don't know what happened to me that day. I said, what happens if this other business also fails? She smiled a bit more and she said, I'll go for the third business. And I was not not expecting those kind of answers from an undergraduate student. And so I was almost after her life. I said, like, what happens if this third business also fails? She says, the fourth business? I say, what happens if this fourth business fails? She said, this cannot happen to me in one life. My first business fails, my second business fails, my third business fails, my fourth business fails. This will not happen and this cannot happen. I said, but imagine that the fourth business also fails. You know what she told me? She said, if the fourth business fails, I'll go and join some company and start working for that company. And that was the real eye-opener for me. Because if you ask students in India, young boys and girls in India, what do you want to do? IAS, IPS, if not that, state government services, if not that, public sector units. Keep studying competitive exam, banks and this and that. They'll spend 4, 5, 6 years of their life doing this. And finally, if nothing happens, they would like to work for a private sector company. Tata's, Birlas. Tata's, Birlas don't pick them up. They'll work for some medium-sized company. That doesn't work. They work for a local small company. And if everything in their life fails, their dad is about to retire, so they take his or her retirement money and start a business. Now this is 180 degree, different approach. In other parts of the world, when they fail with their businesses, they're going to seek employment somewhere. In our country, when we fail with picking up an employment, out of compulsion, we may start some business. And the sad part is that that business is going to fail for sure. No one is trusting you with their money, and then you use your own money in a failed business. We all understand as the students of economics, resources are scarce. Resources with the countries are also scarce. Please understand this. Any country, any community cannot afford the responsibility of these scarce resources to people who are not interested, who have not been picked up by anyone. The best talent in a community, in a society, should be made responsible for these scarce resources. What I'm trying to suggest to you, because all of you are here for a tourism entrepreneurship program, you're going back and talking to your students. My only request to you is that please try to convey through your thoughts, through your actions, that entrepreneurship is not a poor substitute to not getting an employment. If you don't get placed in a company, start your own company is not a good approach. Entrepreneurship, tourism entrepreneurship is not an alternative employment strategy. It has to be a preferred employment strategy. Please understand this. As promised, let me allow me to share my screen with you, because I also bring to you a few tourism related enterprises, and we'll quickly run through some of those businesses. Host has disabled participant screen sharing, but you have to allow me. How do I make a presentation? Admin, please allow me to share my screen. Admin, can I please share my screen? Manshu, Pankaj, anyone listening?
Yes, sir. We are listening, sir.
Rajdeep, I'm not able to share my screen. Can you enable me?
Yes, sir. You can.
Oh, it says.
Sir, please go sir through a screen share. I guess you can.
No, but it says I'm going through the screen share. It says host has disabled participant screen sharing. So I am a participant technically
Okay,
on
sir.
this. So you have disabled everyone, I think.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Now you can, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's visible now, sir.
Visible, thank you. Yes. Let me also bring in another thought here, which is partially in contradiction to what Rajdeep said at the beginning. I don't look at entrepreneurship as starting a business. Every society at every given point of time, face certain challenges. These challenges in terms of marketing, we call them wants and needs. So people want different things, they have different needs. Every time, everywhere in the world, we get something. There's a famous jingle in Hindi which says, "Ye dil mange more." So we would like to ask for more. So everyone asks for more. And those societies, those communities which ensure an unabated supply of creative people who have solutions to the challenges that the society faces. What I'm saying, society faces challenges, and then there have to be people within the society who are creative enough to find answers to those problems. These people for me are entrepreneurs. So for me, entrepreneurs are creative solution givers. Money flow in as a sequel to that. You can call it starting a business. So business, it's not about the techniques of starting a business, filling a form and registering. That's not business. Business is about offering a creative solution to the challenges that the society is facing at any given point of time. So do we have a solution? Were we able to identify a need gap that, okay, people are struggling with this. Let us find a let us find a solution to this. Why I'm saying this is because the slides that come before you are talking exactly about this. I've just listed, a few. There are many, I understand. Look at Chitra Daga. She is the co-founder of Thrillophilia, and she was working with Infosys, right? And she said, let us create a platform where people can book different experiences. So these are, what I'm showing you are some of the identified successful tourism entrepreneurs in the country as on date. Bhatt is the co-founder of ClearTrip. His whole idea was making travel simple. How do you make travel simple? Because people are struggling with comparing, control alt tab between different windows on your screen. So he says, okay, don't worry. I come up with a software, with a platform where you can compare fares, sort them with by preferences, and you can even, change your reservations online. So giving some convenience to some of the people. Harsh Bhatt, he also worked for digital space for many years, and then created this company. Then you have Jayanti Rajgopalan, who's the founder of Detours India. And she said that my whole idea is that people would like to be in a company of a local person, have a local knowledge about the local place, so that, I was talking about building a narrative and having an experience. So they should have an experience which is very unique, which is very local. The phrases that I love, personally I love, is immersion into an experience. And I talk to my students, I tell them point blank, tourism is not about seeing and viewing places. Tourism is about immersing in the experience of the place. It's about feeling the place. It's not about seeing the place. So how do I feel a place? So Jayanti Rajgopalan said, take a detour with us. Say, for example, one of her popular detour is the biryani detour. So she said, come, let's enjoy biryani, because biryani is one of the dimensions, one of the narratives when you talk about Hyderabad. Then you have Gautam Shewakramani. He is the founder of Audio Compass. They are working actually with Incredible India. He's an MD from MIT Sloan. They partnered with Incredible India, Ministry of Tourism. So they charge you like 49 rupees or something. You get to a place, you have an app on your phone, you're visiting Tansen Ka Maqbara in Gwalior, put on the app, and it gives you authentic narration of the place. So that is what he did. Pushpinder Singh is CEO and co-founder of Travel Khana. So I take a long train journey across India. Railways is the lifeline of Indian travel and transportation. You pass across so many cities, and you have this app. You can order local food from local restaurants as your train passes through different cities, and get that food right on your seat. So I'm passing by Agra. I want to have some local thing. Then I pass through Gwalior. Why can't I have some gajak from Gwalior? Some go to Indore, some namkeen from Indore. So whatever route I take, every place in India has its own specialities. They're all integrated through Travel Khana. Ish Jindal is the founder of another company called Padhaaro. which connects tourists with the local people called greeters. Greeters do charge a fee, but they guide tourists to non-routine dimensions or aspects of the city. What they should be doing in the city, how should they make most of the opportunity of being in a city, only a local can tell you. Not a professionally trained guide who will take you to listed monuments, but he is a local expert. So he connects. There's another. Then you have Vikram Chheda, founder of White Collar Hippie. He also creates another kind of experiences. He focuses on indigenous art and culture. Uh, so uh, he creates opportunities for the tourists to interact with locals, visit their farms, stay in camps, or do a homestay. So this is what he offers. Then you have Pia Bose, who was a lawyer and decided to have her own company, Girls on the Go Club, exclusively for women. Her idea was to empower women by, boosting their confidence that they can be on their own, they can undertake trips, travel, blend themselves, negotiate with different cultures. So in doing so, this will raise their self-esteem and confidence. So with that idea in mind, so you have an idea, you connect it with travel, you have a pretty good company, Girls on the Go Club. Then you have Rahul, who is the CEO and founder of DigiVallet. Every time I go and stay in a hotel room, I struggle finding TV channels. Where does Aaj Tak come? Where does NDTV come? Where does Dance India Dance come? Or whatever shows are there. So he created an app which is called DigiVallet, which are used by most of the big hotel companies in India, which are actually keeping track of the tourist. What do they like? What are their preferences? What would they like? And so they keep advising the guest with this app. Then you have Sikmani Singh, who is the co-founder of SeekSherpa. Again, it's a mobile application technology and Google messaging platform for the locals. And her idea, like Ish's idea of greeters, her app also connect people with the locals, who is referring to as Sherpas, who can answer queries by the visitor. So I'm visiting a city, I'm on SeekSherpa, I have some questions. Where do I find this? I post a question on SeekSherpa and a local person answers me. So that is her. So, person visiting a place wants to be on his own, wants to explore the city, at points find himself or herself lost and need some local support. SeekSherpa helps you with that. I've also brought for you a few appreciated tourism businesses last 4 or 5 years. Look at the ideas. What kind of ideas are they playing with? Say, for example, a day halt. So many of us don't want to stay overnight, but we would like to travel to another city and would like some place, just to change. The day halt was, a portal where you can book hotels for the day use. So you're not staying overnight. Traditionally and conventionally, hotels are for overnight stay. So they book hotel rooms for daytime use. Then Guidudu, which is essentially information like the audio compass, information about a monument or a historical place. So it's basically a technology-driven guide with you. Then you have another company. Many of you know this company, Travel Triangle. It offers traveler customized deals from local travel agents. So through Travel Triangle, you do away with the traditional channel. You are directly connected to the local travel agent at the place of the ground handler. You can run through their offers and procure one of those offers. Similarly, you have another company which was Trip 38. It delivers information. It is GPS driven. So you have this app on your phone, and it traces your location, and based on your location, it advises you. So 2 lanes down the street, turn left, and you find a good museum. If you're interested in a museum of handicrafts, it's right out there. So this is the kind of information Trip 38 provides. Then you have another company called Tripoto. They have created a bank of itineraries. So I want to travel to Southeast Asia. I want to travel to, say, a lesser traveled place like Laos and Cambodia. What do I do? Go to Tripoto and you will find a lot of people who have shared their itineraries there. Then there is another company, Gold Valley. It's an American company. It advises people about the local cuisine. Okay, so they call themselves explorer of food. So if you are traveling for some reason to a place, say Gwalior. So I don't know much about Gwalior, or say Jodhpur in Rajasthan, or Bareilly in UP, or Aizawl, for example. I don't know what is the specialty here. So, but this is an American company, it doesn't operate in India. I'm just giving you an example. Maybe someone else picks up this. So they connect customers with unique food all over the country, all over the place, in different places. Similarly, there's another company, Daga. This is a Dutch company and a very interesting company. This is a company which offers niche getaway for people who are heartbroken. You have a breakup, break up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or you just divorced, or in a different context or in a different situation, one of the spouses passes away, and you are in depression, and people take a lot of time to come out of this depression. They'll typically go through depression for 6 months, a year and a half. So this company says, no, we are specialists in this. Come take a tour with us. We'll connect you. We have interventions, and we have co-travelers who have been through a similar personal tragedy. We'll connect you with this, and you'll be able to recoup, within 15 days or a month's time. So they offer holiday packages to the lovesick. They have a range of products that they offer. Look at these different products: a bracelet, books, guides, advice on phone, other things. So then this is a very popular tour in Prague, Czech Republic. They shifted from communist to a more capitalist economy, and they have a lot of tales about corruption in those communist times. So here is a company which takes you through those parts of the city which symbolizes or which have stories about corruption of erstwhile communist regime. It's a very, very popular tour in Prague. I've given you links also, so you can visit most of these companies. Thing. Then there's another Dutch company, Netherlands-based company. A lot of tourism in north, darker, colder Europe is about visiting places which have relatively good weather. So they say that, okay, look, here is a circuit. You can keep traveling on this circuit, and you'll have almost the same kind of temperature, 21 degree, 22 degree. So just one of the examples here on the screen. There was a company in India which had a similar idea. They said, chase the monsoon. So monsoon enters India sometime in May from Kerala, goes up, then moves northwest. And then the retreating monsoon, which starts from Punjab and in Pakistan, and then comes in on the retreat, on its way back, it rains in Tamil Nadu and Bengal and the eastern part of India. So monsoon follows a track. Now with monsoon, there are a lot of rituals the advent of monsoon, we have a lot of festivities, a lot of other things in different parts of countries, and over a period of time, we have reacted to those to the arrival of monsoon differently in forms of tradition, festivals, other things. So this company says that follow the monsoon, start with us. We'll keep following the monsoon as monsoon goes northwest and then comes southeast, and we'll enjoy India. That was their idea. Then there's another company which says that when you go and stay in hotels, you start liking some furniture, wall hanging, some showpieces. So they discover where can you source it and help you buy it online and deliver it to your place. So that's another company. Look at the ideas. Then there's another company which calls Please Bring Me In. So they have a platform where they have information of people traveling to some place. So if someone is traveling today morning to say Chennai, Delhi, to Chennai from Delhi, and coming back tomorrow, I can request this guest that please bring me something from Chennai, or whatever I want from Chennai, please bring this for me. So it connects travelers travel in different direction, where they can request the other traveler to bring whatever they want from that destination. And these are videos, but I'm not running these, playing these videos. So we had election, and election tourism picked up in a big way, both 2019 and 2014 election. There were companies, dedicated companies, who sold electioneering. The way electioneering is carried out in India is a real exotic thing for a lot of people from around the world. Those jeeps and drums and rallies and all these things. This doesn't happen anywhere else in the world except for South Asia. So a lot of people, a lot of students of public administration, a lot of political scientists were interested in this form of electioneering. So they booked. 2019, I'm told that there were around 20,000 visitors who came to India only for. Sorry. Then you must have heard about hostels, which is one of them is in Panchagani. They use those cargo boxes. Those for building hostels. This. Look at this Swiss hotel room without walls. I'll just start so that it comes up and you can just have a look at it. Stop. This hotel room lets you sleep under the stars on the Alps. So just another experience. Very, very costly hotel. Then another example, I was consulting Uttarakhand government, and they said just before COVID, we were consultants for them, and they said that there are around 2,000, around 1,800 host villages in Uttarakhand. People have all migrated to cities, and these villages are host villages. What do we do with these villages? So we suggested them something like Italy's scatter hotels. There are a lot of villages, medieval villages in Italy and Spain, which have been abandoned. So an architect have purchased these villages. There are a couple of cases in South India also, where entire village is taken by a company. They don't change the exteriors, they don't change the look, so it still looks like a medieval Roman or an Italian village. Interiors have been adapted. Technically, we call it adaptive reuse of the heritage properties. So they make adaptive reuse interiors. They have done it to the convenience of the visitors. Externally, it's like a medieval village. Every home or every house is a kind of a boutique suite for the visitors. Every time they come here, they can stay in a different suite, and every house is different from the other, and so every experience is different from other. They are calling it scatter hotel, which is scattered all over the place. As promised, let us start, uh, winding up our discussion. What is that these entrepreneurs are doing? Let us quickly run through it. One, they are using technology. Most of them are using technology both to empower themselves and to empower the end user. So they are actually doing away with the complications of the distribution and other things. Airbnb, Booking.com are big disruptors. They are basically technology driven. They induce customers to use technology. Order food, decide to go skiing based on climate or the local weather, uh, book a parking lot. Some of you who have booked on Airbnb, the kind of customization it allows, the kind of freedom it allows you to, find a place for yourself to stay. Another thing that they're doing is that they have done, if you go back and research with them, is that they have involved customers in the design of their products. We all say that you need to be customer centric, but how do you become customer centric? How do you know what customer wants? And that's the catch. The only thing you need to know is what your customer wants. If you know, half the battle is won. If you provide, that's the end of it. You need to know what your customers want. What exactly do they want? So these companies, these entrepreneurs normally uh, include customers while they design their product, and they're very flexible to their customer needs. The only business of business is to create value for the customers. That's the gist of business. Any business, every business on this planet. Only business is to create value for the customers. How do you create value? Customer is going to tell you what is value for him or her. Create that value for him or her. Some more things. Experimentation. Experimentation, experiment, and experiment. Failure in an experiment is an investment in the product. That is, one thing which is against our culture. We look down upon failures, but failures are the best teachers. These companies don't, they're not scared of experimentation. Then they work with functionally diverse team. Look at it, and here I like to draw your attention, because all of us and most of us are teachers of tourism, or at least people who intend to be into academics and research of tourism. I gave you a list of around 10 entrepreneurs. Look at other entrepreneurs around you, successful, good amount of success. Unfortunately, most of them have not been formally educated in tourism. Look at some of the good companies, first generation entrepreneurs, they have not been educated in tourism. Our students, lot of our students, because I said in the beginning, tourism is by default entrepreneurial. All of us who have been into tourism academics for more than 5 years understand that our students go and work for companies after 3, 4, 5 years. Many of them leave their jobs to start their own companies. They make decent money, but they are the most successful of the entrepreneurs. Because they know the run of the mill for the trade, they know how to organize a business, what is tourism. Unfortunately, they end up being Fabian entrepreneurs. What they learn in the companies, they'll continue to do that. The only reason why they come out of business is to reduce their overheads. They're working for a big company which had big overheads. Now they have a small company, the overheads are less, and therefore the margins are more, profit margins are more, and therefore what they'll do, offer a better deal to the customer. That is how they do. What they're not doing is not being part of the creative industry. That is my pay. We all need to rethink our curriculums, our pedagogies, that by teaching tourism in the classroom, are we hurting this entrepreneurial aspiration of the society? The more we teach, the less likely is a person to be an entrepreneur. Remember the example I shared with you. There are statistics available in United States of America which says that more than 85% of the students after class 12 who enroll for university level education in United States of America want to start their own companies. More than 85% of them. But we are not having postgraduate students in this workshop. Most of you are teachers, and all of us understand that one of our biggest botheration is placing our students. Finding a job for a student so that they are placed. And what kind of jobs are we placing? 30,000, 40,000, that's all. Students are happy. We are also happy that we placed our student on a 30, 40,000 rupees job. Where is the creativity? Where is the creation of wealth? Please look at countries with high GDP and good per capita incomes, and look at their innovation. So, more innovative companies, better GDPs, which means creativity and innovation are contributing more wealth as compared to mainstream companies. I am almost done. I still have 10 minutes. So I'll almost the last slide. Some tricks of the trade. Many of them start their businesses from home, cutting down. To be a registered travel agent in India, you must have an office in a office complex. That was the condition by Ministry of Tourism. During COVID, industry association insisted with them, persisted with the ministry, and now they have almost taken away that condition. So you can bring down your overhead cost by operating from your homes because it's more technology driven, it's more virtual. So government of India is also on board as far as this is concerned. Many of these companies share their employees with other companies, so part-timers and part credit employees can be used. They also, offer what we say, share of the business in terms of advice. Now look at this. Most of the companies that I have listed, most of the entrepreneurs that I have spoken about are non-tourism background people. They're engineers, they're technologists, they're lawyers, they are something. So to run a business, they still require people who we teach as tourism professionals. So they take those people up and offer them good salaries or, as we call them, part share in the business. And I need not explain this, the last part. Tourism industry by default is a very, very networked industry, all about partnership, but creativity in forging relationships is also important. So these are some of the things that these people are working with. So this is all that I had to share with you. I'll end with this quote, that idea is a funny thing. It doesn't work unless you do. You means the entrepreneur works. So there could be a lot of ideas, but unless you get up and start working on those ideas are not going to work all by themselves. So thank you all for your patience listening, and I'll now take questions from.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, is my voice audible to you?
Oh, yes.
Yes, thank you very much, sir, for your session. And before wasting much time, without wasting much time, let me directly go to the questions. We have been flooded with questions, sir. So the first question that I'd like to ask is from Professor Sampath Swain from Pondicherry University.
Sampath?
Sir wants to know that Sampath Swain from Pondicherry
Arey
University,
bhai,
sir. He's
bolo,
sir.
bolo.
He's saying
Yes,
that
Sampath, tell me.
almost all new business ventures in tourism are not feasible or profitable in the long run in India. They end up with merger or closure. Is it an attempt to experiment new ideas as per the theory of entrepreneurship, or an adventurism to do something differently without foreseeing the consequence in future? Why tourism enterprises do not have creditworthiness?
You know, it's a big concept, and there are number of things that, number of points that I must make, Sampath. One, let us understand that every good idea has a limited shelf life, right? Now I have two problems. One, as I said in the beginning, we are used to creating Fabian and drone enterprises with a little element of creativity. Or sometimes what happens that I am more engaged with one need gap. I am working for a company. I realize that here is an opportunity. So it's just an opportunity. Maybe most of the times this opportunity is the possibility of offering the same product at a lower price. So there's nothing creative about it. Even if I have a creative idea, I rely on one single creative idea for creating a firm. But as I said, every creative idea also has a life cycle. It has a limited worth. I said somewhere during my discussion that to succeed, you will need to have an unabated supply of creative ideas and creative people. Please understand very simply, I come with a creative idea. It's a good idea. It's an idea that is working. It's earning me money. Immediately there will be competitors. The challenge with tourism industry is that we have no barriers to entry. So copying and imitating is not very difficult. So I'll have to continuously work with my ideas, improvise and come up with more ideas, better ideas, and that is important. And that is where we don't train our people. That is where I'm saying we are producing run-of-the-mill entrepreneurs who know the procedure, who know the protocols, and they keep on doing the same thing, which makes them more vulnerable, and maybe eventually they die out. Firms which will be based on creative ideas, which continuously innovate, will survive. So we need firms which need to continuously innovate. We call it resource-based theory of enterprise. So the resource here is creativity. Most important resource that a firm has, creativity. If I have a good story to tell, someone sooner or later is going to copy. If I have a good cuisine, if I have a good idea, people are going to copy it. So what innovation and creativity is going to be is going to offer sustainable competitive advantage to any firm. So we need to work there. And that is precisely the message that I would like to convey during this session. That insist on creative, innovative forms, ideas. And not as an output, but as a process.
So there is another question from Anuj Bhattacharya from Sikkim. He is basically first making an observation. He is saying that I'm working in Sikkim and primary revenue generator for Sikkim is tourism. But due to the ongoing pandemic, tourism is almost dead and he can see people not being able to pay even their EMIs. Tourism being such an important and integral industry, the central government has not allocated any financial package for the upliftment and sustainability of tourism. Why do you think this has happened?
This is a question, we have been talking about it for last 5-6 months. It's a big question. Being part of the tourism fraternity, I can always join him and say that the central government is not done. But look at it around the world. governments have basically, I'm talking about the COVID pandemic, governments have taken two approaches around the world. One is a structural approach, other is a sectoral approach. Some governments, especially of countries which are small in size, these countries, every country is differently situated, so let us not generalize, but some countries have taken a sectoral approach. Some very, very small countries, they have taken a sectoral approach. They said, okay, this sector is good for us, let us pump in money. But bigger countries, countries which are large, they have not taken any sectoral approach. They have taken a structural approach to working on their economy. Not about tourism. Did you hear about any special package for the chemical industry? Did you hear any special package for automobile industry sector? Did you hear any? Except for agriculture, we have not taken any sectoral approach. Agriculture, because it is again the primary sector of the country. That is why we have governments have spoken about agriculture. So it's not about tourism. It's about every sector. Government has not taken a sectoral approach. It has taken a structural approach, provided for certain benefits or certain relaxations across the board. So that's only a question of approach in a big country like India. Because I work so closely with tourist guide, I have trained most of them. I know, so I keep on hearing they are so upset with the government that government has done nothing about 3,500 tour guides in India. Now look at a country of 1.3 billion people. I'm not saying that government should not do. Government, as far as possible, should try doing something for everyone. But look at so many sectors, the sectors which have employed so many people. What is 3,500 tour guides in India? From a micro point of view, it's good. Every individual is important. Government should have done. I just heard that Kerala government has come up with some scheme to support tour guides. Maybe other state governments can also do it. But for a government of a country of the size of India, the kind of challenges that we are handling, I mean, I'm not commenting for or against it, but the only thing is they have taken a structural approach rather than a sectoral.
Okay, thank you, sir. So due to time constraint, we'll take one more question. And the question is related to Mizoram. So since you have spent quite a few number of years of your career
only 3 months in Mizoram.
Okay, only 3 months. One question is specific to Mizoram, that there is a lot of entrepreneurial activities going on around the country or rather around the world. So what are the major bottlenecks to the growth of tourism and hospitality entrepreneurship in Mizoram? I mean, the participant wants to know your opinion.
I'm not in touch with Mizoram for a long time, but yes, it is part of our culture. Mizoram is also, can talk about similar. It lacks entrepreneurial culture. That is one thing, let us understand. I can tell you about, I don't know what is the situation now, but 6 years back, government of Mizoram with central government was almost ready with the Institute of Hotel Management, IHM, I think in Aizawl. But there were no takers. And part reason for this is the disconnect. It's just my observation. I'm no expert in that. My observation is that Mizo society is a very, close society. They are very happy within themselves. Mizos who get into civil services and good jobs all over the country come back to Mizoram on deputation. So most of the officers, in Mizoram are officers from different cadres. They go out, they take good education, but they come back. So Mizos are actually not, they've not opened up to the external world. That was my observation based on 2007, but a lot of water has flown since then. So probably I see a shift. I have a couple of Mizo students in my department in Delhi. So now I see many of them going out, creating examples, being part of different entrepreneurial activities, and probably that's going to help them. But what I saw was they are very content people. They are very happy being by them. So that is my observation. Maybe absolutely wrong. That's just my observation.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your time. So now I would like to request our program coordinator, Dr. Himanshu Bhushan Raut, to give a short vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful deliberation. We are indeed honored to have you as a speaker in our AICT Hotel FDP. We are receiving a lot of compliments for this session. Your profound knowledge and vast experience, both national and overseas, have really enriched this session. We are confident that support and continued guidance will definitely help us to strive for higher goals in future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being with me all through this session. Thank you very much.